Hi, my name is Tyler Lemke, and I'm kind of going to go through and give you some tools and helpful resources on how to properly evaluate websites in order to make sure that our staff members and our students can really do research and other things online effectively. So we all have probably heard at some point students coming up to you or their reasons for why they wrote something the way they did in regards to a research. Well, teacher, or well, Mr. Lemke, I found this resource online, or I found this information online, so it has to be true. It has to be correct since it's online. But little do they know that a lot of these resources that people put online, we hear the word fake news a lot, but a lot of those resources, they need to make sure that they are evaluating to make sure if they're credible or non-credible and how effective they can be used, or how effectively they can be used in finding the questions that the students are really trying to find the solution or answers to. So first and foremost, in order to expect our students to kind of understand or know what they're doing, we need to make sure that our staff members and the parents of those students kind of understand, because it's hard to expect something from students when we're not necessarily expecting it from staff members and parents right away. So I think we need to make sure that we are properly training and giving our staff members and parents proper resources to kind of make sure that they can guide and help their own students into how to properly evaluate websites and see what are credible and what are not credible websites to use, and those kind of pieces of information that come along with those sites to help them answer their questions. So when it comes to what the expectations are for staff members, it all goes to modeling what proper and effective evaluation of a website looks like, and that way they can transition it into kind of helping and preparing their students to kind of go through it on a daily basis. So my staff members need to constantly model what that looks like, and from day one they're going to be required to, any website they pull up in class, they need to go through it with the students to kind of just practice and show them what that evaluation will kind of look like. So some things that they need to consider when they do go through those websites: does it answer my question? Does it answer the question or the information I'm kind of looking for? If it doesn't, it kind of going to stray you to one side or the other. A quick and easy way to kind of look at this: if you hit Control F, it'll bring up a search bar, and once you open up the document, you can type in a keyword that you're looking for. So I picked evaluation. Well, obviously on my website evaluation sources, the evaluation comes up, so it brings you to those kind of keywords. That way you don't have to read through the entire website. Another thing is something that we need to look at or make sure we're teaching our kids is this a credible source or author? Is it biased? Is it unbiased? And how credible or what credentials do they actually have? Or is it just some kind of blogger or some random person kind of just spewing out information? Another thing is, what is the author's purpose? Are they trying to persuade us? Are they trying to educate us? Are they trying to sell us something? What is their purpose? And is it, again, biased? Is it unbiased? And then how current is the information? The websites I'm going to show you, or some resources I'm going to show you today, the oldest website is from 2018, but they're constantly up. The other ones are constantly being updated in 2019, and will continue to be updated as we go through. So when I talk about how to properly model website evaluations, or how to kind of integrate it into your classroom lessons, the best and most effective way to probably do this is try to make it a game. Give a website resource or evaluation, do it in front of the class up front, and go through it as kind of like a game. Is this fake news? Is this real? How credible is this website? And I'm going to show you some things with some websites on how to properly evaluate, to kind of what to look for, and some resources that you can kind of give the students to kind of make like a check mark or a checklist to make sure if one website is going towards more credible or towards more non-credible, and how effective that website might actually be in their research or findings. A couple things that students can look for are the domains with .com, .net, .gov, and .edu, and I'll give you guys some examples to kind of show you what that will kind of look like. So if we look at some examples or non-examples of what this may look like, we will see that possible credible resources, websites ending in edu, org, or gov. Now, some with the .org, they just got to make sure they're reliable and respected organizations. This could be Discovery, Library of Congress, PBS, History Channel, National Geographic, National Archives, Smithsonian, etc. So some example websites: the CIA.gov, LocalGov, and then ncge.org. Some non-credible ones, and these are the ones you kind of got to look out for. Be very cautious of websites ending in .com, especially those which are independent blogs, because blogs, anybody can post anything they want. And then any websites where people are free to post responses, questions are not credible. Examples of non-credible websites would be Wikipedia. Now, with Wikipedia, anybody can post on them. I always tell my students that if they do use Wikipedia, they have to go through the citations at the bottom and find credible citations at the very bottom of the web page for their topic from Wikipedia, but they cannot use information directly from it. They can use it as a citation finder almost. Ask.com, anybody can kind of respond to questions however they want. Same with Yahoo Answers, same with Wiki Answers, and same with ChaCha. So those are some examples of credible resources and non-credible resources. School databases, school research databases are also effective research areas for students to go if you want credible sources in that matter. So the first resource I'm going to show you guys is Kathy Schrock's Guide to Everything, and this is all about critical evaluation of sites and resources, making sure that they're actually credible and effective. Something that you'll see through this site, there's a bunch of different links, kind of depending on what exactly you're kind of referencing or evaluating. The thing I mostly use from this is her 5 W's of website evaluation. So the who wrote the pages, and are they an expert on it? What does the author say there's a purpose, or what information is included? Does this information differ from other sites? The when was the site created or updated? Make sure they are no older than within the last 10 years. So as of right now, it'd be 2009, 2010, and more towards present day. Where does the information come from, and then why? Why is this information useful for my purpose? So the questions that the students have: why can I use this, or why will this help me, or why is this resource better than other resources, or more credible than other resources? So that's one resource people can use. Another one is Education World. It kind of goes through the ultimate guide to teaching source credibility. So why are we doing this? Again, it kind of roots back to the growing trend of these fake news articles and fake news headlines. And something that it recommends going through, and I'll probably do this with my students this coming year, is kind of show them hoax sites or websites that are like obviously fiction, obviously not really necessarily true, and are trying there to kind of like give you false information. So political bias questions, my students go through that. They create their own fake news articles, and they have to also create real news articles, so they can kind of see how people may be persuaded one way or the other by fake news or things that are written in the media. And again, this all goes back to understanding that information that gets put online is not necessarily always going to be factual. Anybody can post anything online, and our students must be able to understand that. It kind of just goes through, gives different ideas for the classroom. This is where I got the game idea from. You can kind of just go through with your students and put up different websites, and they can tell you, or they can do it as a class, kind of like a icebreaker for before a research project or something. Say, all right, I'm going to give you a website. You tell me if this is a good, credible website, or if it's not a good, credible website, based on the information or based on the author or purpose of that article. Something that is located within the last article was checklists on evaluating websites. This is a good thing to kind of print off or make a poster of if you need to. I'm considering it right now, just because it'll give my students a little checklist of what to look for when it comes to how to properly evaluate the resources in the internet. So authorship, up-to-dateness and relevance, accuracy, purpose and objectivity, and then links. And it kind of gives you the structure of a website address. And again, like I was talking about, .com, .edu, .net, .org, .gov, .ca, .uk, those kind of have to deal with how credible a website is as well. So we must make sure that our students understand those. And then the last one, Kathleen Morris is a primary teacher in Australia, and she kind of gives a good example and kind of walks through the process of it is okay to kind of bounce off different websites and look at different websites, but you kind of have to go through this process. And us staff members as well as our students must understand the process. So, open the site, skim read, like I showed you guys. You can Control F, search within to kind of keywords. Does it answer the question? Does it not answer the question? Is it a credible author or site? And then does the purpose of the site meet my needs? And is it current enough? If it's not current enough, I'd kind of try to stay away from it and kind of look to more updated articles or scholarly articles in that sense. And then that kind of goes back to us now transitioning that and modeling it again into the classroom. Make sure we model. That way we can support our students and support our staff members and help each other to kind of bridge the gap between how to ineffectively evaluate a website and how to effectively evaluate a website. And then we won't have to answer any more questions when our students come up to us and say, well, I found it on the internet, so it must be true. Thanks.